Welcome to Tips to Avoid Distractions at Work. My name is Ken Okel. I'm a professional speaker. I talk to audiences about ways that you can improve your performance on the job. I pull from a professional background that includes broadcast news, hurricane relief, and professional ballet. Now, I know, unusual combination, but in each and every field, I had to perform at a high level every day. If you are not careful, distractions will steal your time and rob you of your productivity. Maybe you've been in that situation where you were busy all day, but when you look back, you think, I didn't really get anything done. I get it. Sometimes little distractions eat up most of your day, most of your productivity, and you feel frustrated at the end of the day. Or maybe you end up staying late every day, and that is not fun. What I think happens is that we do something I call acting like a firefighter when it comes to distractions. So let me illustrate this point. I want you to imagine that we are walking into a firehouse. It's a quiet time at the fire station. You look around, people are making some dinner, they're fixing some of their equipment, they're playing a game. At this point, their time is their own. They're able to do what they want to do. But the moment, beep, 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 that fire alarm goes off. They have to drop everything, respond to that emergency with 100% focus. Whether it turns out to be something really big, like a 5-alarm fire, or something little, like, a cat stuck in a tree. That's the life of a firefighter. I respect that. But should we be acting like firefighters in the job? But it can happen very easily. Here's an example that happened to me. A few years ago, I am running the business operations for a professional ballet company. A lot of my time is spent on fundraising. Ballet is very expensive. You need to constantly be bringing in more and more money so the show will go on. I'm sitting at my desk and I'm surrounded by spreadsheets because I'm trying to figure out where we can find some extra money. As I'm doing that, I see out of the corner of my eye one of my administrative staff coming toward my office, and she looks a little mad. She walks up to my desk. She's got kind of a mean look on her face. She stomps her foot and she goes, Ken, we have too much toilet paper. What are you going to do about it? And then she storms off. Got to admit, in that moment, I became a firefighter. I stopped everything that I was doing to investigate the toilet paper situation. Now, here's what I found. Our ballet company, we had been touring for the past few weeks. That meant that very few people were in the building. Not much toilet paper was being used. We continued to get our regular deliveries of paper products. As a result, the shelf where toilet paper was stored was overflowing. We had too much toilet paper. Okay. This is a relatively easy fix. We could find another place to store the toilet paper, or perhaps we could even call the paper company and cut next month's order slightly. But let's face it, having too much toilet paper, as we've all learned, not a bad thing. Too little, different story. On that day, an otherwise really good employee thought that the most important thing that I needed to be doing in that moment was squeezing the Charmin. So what are some ways that we can avoid acting like a firefighter on the job? The first strategy is that you try to avoid other people, because other people are often the source of distractions. So you start doing this thing where you start work a little early, you keep working a little late, you work through lunch, because during those times, you're less likely to be interrupted. And yeah, you can get more done. The downside is you're putting in a lot of extra time, and over time, those minutes are going to add up, and the mental mileage will make you make a few more mistakes on the job. I suggest this strategy, really short amounts of time. When you're really busy, maybe that can work. Don't do it every week or you will burn out. What if we could control some of the distractions? Who does that very well? University professors. They have these things called office hours. During certain designated times, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon to 1:30, you can come visit with the professor, you can ask for help, shoot the breeze, whatever, the door is open. When those office hours are over, the door gets closed, the professor is able to focus on whatever he or she wants to do, grading papers, doing research, whatever. That time is protected. The time is also respected. an important point. In your world, are you able to create some barriers? Maybe are there some times when you don't check your email, you turn off the phone ringer, and you just focus on your important tasks? Maybe you just start out doing this for 15 minutes. Does the world end during those 15 minutes? Maybe if we're all back in our offices, are you able to close your door? Maybe you put a sign on it saying, hey, really focused on something, come in if it's an emergency. A few people will actually do a thing where they will go to a different location. If they're in their office, they'll go to an empty conference room. So they're still around if someone needed to find them, but they've moved slightly, so they're a little harder to find. Are people coming to you all the time with all these interruptions and distractions because, hey, they don't know what to do? If that's the case, it's a training issue. And training nowadays is available in so many different forms, in person, virtually. You can do it as a team. That can be a relatively simple solution if you can identify where people need a little more expertise. Got to ask you though, are you a little bit of a control freak? Do you feel like things have to be done a certain way? Okay, I understand. I like things done a certain way myself, but that takes up a tremendous amount of time. If you can eliminate some of that, you won't have as many distractions. But let's look at this a different way. Do people come to you all the time with all these questions, all these little distractions, because they're waiting for you to tell them what to do, because they don't believe they're allowed to make a decision without your blessing? That can be a big problem. Because if you have to touch everything all the time, you're not going to have any time for your stuff. What I suggest is that you hire good people, set expectations, give them the training needed to perform well, and then work with them every once in a while to evaluate their performance and decide if you need to make changes at all, improvements, suggestions, tips. This way you have some oversight, but you're not holding someone's hand all the time. You're allowing them to be a little more independent. In the workplace, there are always going to be little fires that are going off, but how you respond to them will ultimately define your success. My name is Ken Okel. As I mentioned, I'm a professional speaker. You want to see some clips of my speaking presentations? Go to my website, kenokel.com. Want to shoot me an email? Hit me up at tvguy@kenokel.com. Funny story about that. When I worked in TV news, you'd be out and about in the public. People would recognize you and they'd want to say hi, but they wouldn't remember your name. So they would just yell out things like, hey, TV guy. So that's where it came from. I also invite you to connect with me on the various social channels. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, all under Ken Okel. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Distractions are a concern in the workplace. I hope these tips will empower you going forward. I'm Ken Okel. Take care.